What's up, everyone? This is my video review for November 13th, and I definitely just want to make this a slightly longer video because I do have a lot to cover, especially on the price action side of things today. I feel like I had a very good read on the market, and my P&L shows it. I'm ending the day up 450. That's 150, 160 on the personal account, and um, 300 on the XFAs, so 1500 across all five. So we had CPI this morning, and still, just so we're still in a short-term downtrend. We're consolidating. We're making lower highs. CPI did try and push us, or we did push for technically a new high, but this is in pre-market. So it's important to note that I don't really look at pre-market. I almost never use this regular trading hours. So I did actually take the first trade with some of this bias, but I did not consider this a breakout looking for new highs going into the open. So after CPI, there's a guy we used to trade with who he said the news pins almost always do a full reversal, and so I had that in mind today. I anchored a VWAP to CPI at 5:30 Pacific Standard Time, and right here we can see we're consistently rejecting it. This candle right here, I was actually looking to go long potentially because that would be the first break, kind of like playing a strength after the dip play. But then if we look at it on that on a high of day VWAP, it's also so this was a valid long. It was this candle right after that made me pretty nervous about it. And so now that we see kind of what's going on here, I'm just going to take it back to regular trading hours, which is what I actually executed on. So we're rejecting opening range high. We're breaking opening range low for the first time. I did wait. I wanted to see if we were going to get a pullback, but then I'm like, we're close enough to the opening range low price that I'm willing to enter here because I got a 10-point stop and I can shoot for 10 points very clearly. Um, I sat through this. I was ready to cut this trade early if we did hold above the New York, but then it just came back down. Right here, this wick really did like mentally put me in a lack mindset. I started getting nervous that it wasn't going to hit my target and it was going to start to reverse. And I ended up pulling up my TP just a few points to right under this wick, and then it got taken with this candle. Um, Overall, this is an area of a big work on for me personally, but I was still able to execute and get a full 9.5 points. Maybe it was more like nine points out of this trade. Yeah, it was more like 9 points out of this trade. Um, and we don't know that this is going to continue. I was thinking about it as an option, but I didn't execute on that, and we're not going to get the whole move. So the trade that I want to talk about next is this low this rejection of New York VWAP. So someone would be looking for an in-trend trade, lower high, and they'd be looking for this break. We never get that break. And for me personally, we're only at the daily for a matter of seconds. Unless if you're so confident in your shorts and you nail this price, which I don't think a lot of people are doing, you're going to be getting in kind of a no man's land is how I see it personally. Like if you don't get the daily, then you wait for the New York or for the low of day break, because right here, as you can see, today we reversed. Sometimes it holds, but if you're entering here, you're in the least probable area where, because the stop loss, where do you put a stop loss if you enter here? You enter short, let's say you enter short here. This was Manny's trade. You put a stop loss up here. That's a huge 12 points to what? Make a potential 12 if you get all the way back down to low of day. Personally, this just isn't my trade. But then if you go here, now you got a really clean 2R trade, 2.5R. Or down here, let's say this did actually break, you get in somewhere around there, then you got 10 going for 10. So for me, this trade It's just opening because it's a derivative we're trading. It's just opening yourself up to putting more risk on the table or having to size down contracts. And then you're just shooting for more points. And it's like, why get in at 03 when you can just get in at 01 and not have the stress of sitting in this chop? So as we start to change market structure here, we're breaking for new high, a new intraday high, or I don't know what you would call this, but this is a small change in structure for me. So that made this low of day VWAP break uneligible for a trade because while it is rejecting previous day's New York as it did, this candle right here changed the structure. If we held it here, if this had continued lower, that was a better trade. But once this candle set in a new structure, I'm no longer looking for the shorts. Now I see this as a clean rejection of low of day VWAP, rejection of low of day VWAP. So now I take this off. And my next trade idea I had was right here actually. This was the trade I didn't pull the trigger on, but I thought it was a great trade. A great trade opportunity. You would do something like this. So you're going to hit a 1R, you're shooting for the double break, and you're getting in at the daily. So I put in the chat, actually I'll go right here. I put this was my plan. I wanted to see a break, come back to opening range high, and then I would take the continuation, or I wanted it down to opening range low. You could see I end up taking that first idea. I took this trade right here, and I I ended up pulling it and then getting tapped for break even because at the same time, Nvidia is breaking for new lows of day on the 15-minute chart. We're right here and it's right here. This is could literally just be a perfect lower high, lower high. So I was really trying to be in tune with the market, and I knew the longs were going to play out today, but I didn't know if I was getting in at the right time. So I let that fear affect my management, and I did. I ended up doing well to just get back in the trade here at a higher price, but was still able to scalp my way to a full $300 day. Um, what I think is notable about today is the shorts worked because a lot of the Mag 7 opened up bearish as we see. So when we're opening bearish, but the VIX stays very neutral, then like see everything except for Amazon and Tesla, everything, all the Mag 7 except for Amazon and Tesla opened bearish today. And the VIX, as you could see, was way up here. So nothing was really telling me to be hyper short focused for like the whole session. And that's why I wasn't even considering this like double break trade. I mean I was for like the counter to my trade, but I saw my trade playing out more times than the double break trade. And so yeah, at the open we're bearish, but then right here everything starts to flip. The VIX isn't continuing to fall. We're in a ranging market, so how much extension are we really looking for, especially when stocks start to flip? So I'm using all of this in correlation, and NQ today definitely held lower for longer, but then the YM and the Russell, you can see this is where like this area right here was where ES was holding the low of day VWAP on the YM, and then also on the Russell, it's where it's breaking for to try and get back to the daily, and we're clearly seeing buyers try and take control. Also, one more thing that's just notable is the heat map of today because it's basically tech down, everything else is green. So we know that the Nvidia or NQ is much more weighted in tech, so that's why NQ had a smaller range today, and it took longer for NQ to find its stride, especially because Nvidia stayed low today. But overall, I did my best to just trade the price action that I saw on the charts and found clean setups, and I feel like I had a great read on today.